Don't compromise, just use your eyes. Take a look inside the millennial mind. Millennial mind.
Welcome to the Millennial Mind. You might call us lazy and entitled, but it's time you start to understand the millennial generation and break free of the negative stereotypes. Get the knowledge you need to attract, retain, and engage these millennials, to take them from entitled to engage. And who better to help you on this journey than two actual millennials themselves? I'm Garrett Wagner, your entrepreneurial CPA channel host, and I'm here with my fellow millennial, entrepreneur, rapper, future doctor. The list is too long to name him out. Drew Carrick, the rapping CPA. Are you ready to hear the truth about millennials from us? Now, Drew, in our second show, let's dive deeper into how to engage millennials in the workplace.
So engaging millennials in the workplace, it's one of those things where you always think about how can I engage my workforce, but taking a perspective on it as far as looking at the different generations and not just identifying different types of employees, but really understanding what makes each generation different and what makes millennials unique is the key to really engaging the millennial. And so some of the biggest factors, which I think at this point, anybody who's really a business owner should probably has heard this or something, but the culture, the work environment, creating a place where the millennial feels like they are valued. These are just like the key overarching areas. And we could go into as much detail as you really want as far as each of those things kind of goes. But those are like the big things that stick out to me. I don't know if there's any big ones that stick out to you, Garrett.
Well, I think where you're going with that, let's kind of go back to kind of square one of, suddenly engagement is now a big thing. You talk about prior generations. So what's driving big picture millennials to have this need to be more engaged versus the baby boomers and the Gen Xers?
So I think the big thing is, no disrespect, of course, to Gen X or baby boomers, but there was this mentality of you work hard and you do what's in front of you, and hopefully eventually somebody recognizes that you put in the time, you put in the effort, and you make your way up to the job that you hope you can have your nice house in the suburbs and your 2 cars and be able to save up and put your kids through college. Enter millennials who now, as we mentioned in the last episode, have access to all this information. You see a world of possibilities of all the different types of things that you could possibly become, all the different things you could do. You see the lives that other people live. And suddenly it's not, maybe 20 years from now I'll be settled in and I'll be happy. It's I'm constantly striving to be a part of something, to be influencing, to making an impact on the world. And I think, that desire to make an impact is the area where, as an employer, you can engage that millennial, because they're not just going to be satisfied coming in 9 to 5, doing what they do and going home. Their desire is to be more involved at the company. And if you let them, you could really take advantage of that.
Yeah, and that's the important part. You can really take advantage of that because, part of the discussion I always have with companies on this is it doesn't mean that if you hire like a staff accountant in a CPA firm, that staff accountant can't do staff accountant work. No, you still need them to do staff accountant work, but how to get them to be a better staff accountant, get them engaged doing other things. What are other opportunities you can get them involved with to leverage their love or their passion for technology or growing the firm or business development or community service, whatever it is, make them a better staff accountant by putting more on their plate, which is kind of contrary to those prior generations where they wanted more on their plate. Sometimes it wasn't viewed like that. But like you said, millennials, we see so much wide open information. The world we live in, the world we grew up in, is changing so fast than it was 20, 30, 50 years ago. That's just how the world changes. And the other part that compounds this is, and if you look at the safety in the workplace and the quality of living in this country and abroad, it's rising. So as quality of living increases, people kind of move up, back in the day, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs pyramids, they move up in that pyramid. They're looking for more things at next level. But yeah, when it comes to engagement, I mean, definitely let people become something more than just a staff accountant. They still have to be the staff accountant, but drive that extra layer on top of it. So Drew, with that, because I know you've spent a lot of time at some really big CPA firms, what can firms do to get them more engaged, their staff accountants more engaged at work?
So one of the things that they initiated at my public accounting firm while I was there was the ability to do rotations. So, it was offering, hey, you want to, I know you got drafted into audit, but would you want to check out tax? You came to tax, would you like to try out advisory? Getting involved with the different areas, it allows you and millennials have this desire to really discover themselves and discover their interests. And not just settle in, like we were talking about, to just one sort of job and that's it. It gives them the opportunity to explore the different opportunities that are available and perhaps find the one that is the right niche for them. So that's one key element. Another one is sort of creating a sense of community. It's the events that you have that brings the people together, because it really comes down to, you want to work with people who you like and who you feel engaged with on a personal level. And so it wasn't just, we're just work friends, but people that were developing friendships and relationships beyond just the work environment, because suddenly the way you can talk to them at work becomes much more personable, and it becomes much easier to sort of communicate and work through tasks together and be collaborators. And one of the final things I would say is probably just flexibility, being understanding of knowing that there's so much else that goes on in the world and in life, that necessarily footing the bottom of a balance sheet or summarizing a board minute page isn't going to end the world for anybody, and just kind of understanding that's okay. And if something else happens in life, you can go ahead and do it. That flexibility, it goes a long way, especially with millennials.
It does. And I like we said there in the middle, number 2, big shout out to bringing passion to the work. So special shout out to the recovering CPA, John Garrett, Green Apple Podcast. You got to check that bad boy out. But yeah, Drew, something to remember at the end there too. If you're, for those people living and then working in their firms in that busy firm life, sometimes remember the things we do inside our CPA firms. There's things that we do that aren't like commonplace in society. For example, like what tick mark you use when you foot a balance sheet. That's not a standard thing across all firms. What color pencil or highlighter or color you use in Excel. Just remember, a lot of those things your firm might do out of process or habit, no one knows how to do that besides people in your firm. So, you got to train your millennials how to do that. Just to train everybody, because it's not common sense. So when you kind of mentioned footing, it made me remember that.
Yeah.
But no, Drew, I think this is a great episode, getting started with engaging your millennials. And we'll have to take a deeper dive in some specific episodes, diving into those points you listed off.
Yep.
So hopefully everybody learned something watching today and had a little fun in the process. If not, reach out to Drew or myself. We're happy to ask questions you have to better understand millennials in the workplace. And if you really want to help us better understand millennials at your company, firm, business, association, take our millennial survey. There's a link at the bottom of the page. We want your input, no matter what your generation is. We're conducting research to better understand the millennial mind and provide some detailed feedback and insight to everybody watching here today. That's it for our show. Thanks for watching, everybody. Click to subscribe on our YouTube channel. And as always, we challenge you to take action today to change the world and invest in yourself.